that Freddie Mitchell got 22 catches. He's not a premier receiver. My son in flag football has 22 catches. So that's the level he's on.
Yeah.
Keep his mouth shut and catch a little more balls than 4 for 26. Score with the ball. Don't catch somebody else's fumble. Be a playmaker, not a player.
Yeah, you hit on what I was going to talk about later in the show, Steve, and that's Freddie Mitchell, who got a lot of glory. He had the great press conference.
Freddie Mitchell can't hold my job.
You know what? I agree with you. This is a guy that's
Freddie Mitchell got 4 for 26, and a week later, he had, 2 catches when we played him? Yeah. Let's put my paycheck up with his paycheck. Let's put my touchdowns up with his touchdowns. I got half of his receptions, and I only played 1 game.
6 receptions in that game before the injury.
Exactly. And he got, 22?
Yeah.
Whoop-dee-doo. He's an NFL player. Got to be kidding me.
Oh.
He's a joke.
Oh, I love it. Steve Smith is with us here on Sporting News Radio of the Carolina Panthers. Before we move off that, Steve, I don't know if you heard his comments, but in that press conference he said, you know what? I've just been waiting for my opportunity. And I'm thinking, what have you been doing for the last 3 years before T.O. got there? You've had opportunity for 3 years and done nothing with it.
This is all I got to say. I was drafted in the 3rd round. He was drafted in the 1st round. Hey, I'm not going to say it. Bust. And I'm not talking about Jerome, the bust, either.
B-U-S-T is what you're talking about, Steven.
He's garbage, and Steve Smith said it. If he got a problem, he know where to find me, North Carolina.
Steve Smith, ladies and gentlemen, of the Carolina Panthers. Steve, let me get your thoughts on your team. I mean, this is a team that started, obviously, your team was decimated by injuries, injuries on the offensive line, Stephen Davis, Deshaun Fox, everybody was getting hurt. This team's sitting there at 1-7. Everybody wrote them off. Then they go on and win 5 in a row to 6-7. They had a great run at the end of the season. What were your thoughts while that was going on? It had to be tough, obviously, to sit there and not be able to contribute, but to see the heart that this team showed and the way they were able to kind of piece it together and put themselves in a position for a playoff spot had to feel pretty good.
I think it's good. I just think I think that it shows that, the role players we have, obviously the non-starters, are contributors, and they can contribute, and that helps our depth. So when guys, now they have opportunity to, when we come into the season, where the Nick Goings, Deshaun Foster, and Steve Davis, now we have a triple threat in the backfield. Now we have 3 good backs, and then also with the receivers with Kerry, myself, Moose, Ricky, all those guys, you just add more guys. And then that's how you become the New England Patriots, where you got role players that are not necessarily starters, but there's guys in those systems that are very successful. And you want that, and that's what teams thrive for. That's the objection of. That's how you win championships. 4 out of 3 years you go to Super Bowl, because you have role players that can be starters anywhere else.
Speaking with Steve Smith of the Carolina Panthers here on Sporting News Radio. And, Steve, I've read that you're scheduled to begin running next month. How do you feel physically? Are you going to be 100% when training camp starts and the season comes around?
Yeah, next week it'll be 5 months. So I'm doing good. I went from, on crutches until, from a wheelchair to on crutches to walking boots. So we're taking it nice and slow and making sure everything is done properly. It's not rushed. And it doesn't become a ailing problem when years to come, down the years. Mm-hmm. Instead of trying to have a quick fix and you're doing it properly and making sure all the I's are dotted, crossing all your T's, and making sure that I am productive for the team over the long term, not just a quick fix, which we all know what happens with quick fixes. As long as you're there, and then when they're done with you, they're done with you.
Absolutely, and you're doing it the right way. Steve, before I let you go, I want to throw one more at you. Obviously, you're a guy that has an opinion. You're not afraid to share your opinion. Another guy that receives a lot of criticism in this league is Randy Moss, who's a brilliant talent, but, we saw the fake mooning that everybody flipped out about, which I thought was a lot of nothing, but this is a guy who is a target on some level and because of his own doing. What do you think of Randy Moss as a receiver, and is he a guy that, is he a good teammate in your mind? Is he a guy that's kind of getting a bad rap out there, or is he kind of deserving of what comes his way in terms of negative press?
I would just say that a guy like that, he's phenomenal. He plays excellent. He does what he wants to do, And sometimes when you do what you want to do and you hold yourself at that level, that the things you do where it's negative or positive, it all reflects you. And I just think if he would have did that and not had an issue the week before, it wouldn't have made any noise. But it just constantly, at that time, he had something going on from the week prior, and then the next week, so it was just piling on to already affected wound. So I just think that, if he just keeps his nose clean, do the things that he's been doing as far as majority of the time, and just playing football and minding his own business, he'll be fine. I mean, because he's a great hard worker. The things that he's doing, you can't just wake up and say, hey, let's go do it. I mean, you have to have some preparation off season and have good workout ethics during the season to do some of the things that he's doing. I mean, because if he didn't, he'd play like Freddie Mitchell.
We'll take that one with you, Freddie. A little parting shot from Steve Smith, wide receiver of the Carolina Panthers. Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. I'm glad to hear that the recovery is going well and look forward to seeing you back on the field next season. Thanks for taking a few minutes with us.
Oh, I appreciate it.
There he is, Steve Smith.